Good morning, everyone. Our topic will be all about cognitive variation in language learning. But before we tackle the topic, let's define our title. Cognitive variation in language learning refer to the preferred way individual processes information or the different ways in which children and adults think and learn. Basically, these are the effective ways for an children and adults to learn language. To further tackle the topic, Miss Clarissa.
Student can learn new information from four main types of learning. It is important for a teacher to be able to understand learning styles of student today's age because of the blended learning. The first styles of learning for a student is called visual. They easily understand the lesson by reading and seeing the pictures. It is also tend to remember things that are written down and they learn better by watching the lectures. For example, a visual learner would learn to fix a TV better if they watch an instructional video rather than listening to an expert explain the process. The second type of learner are the auditory. In here, student prefers to be told how to do things and then summarizing the main points out clearly to help with the memorization. For example, a student may remember everything that was said during work meeting but has a hard time recalling the information that was outlined in a report. Next, the third type is called the reading and writing. This student focuses on reading and writing and can handle worksheet, presentations, and other text-heavy resources that requires reading. These learners are also note takers and they perform at best when they written text. The fourth type of student learning style is called the kinesthetic. This student learns and understands lesson best when they are hands-on and perform best in activity requires engagement of all their senses. These students tend to understand more and when they are once doing the new information or knowledge presented to them. So, understanding the styles of each student can help teachers to deal with them and improve their teaching techniques depending on the needs of the students. That's all. Next reporter, please. Thank you.
Let us now continue the strategies of learning. First is the summarizing or paraphrasing to develop cognitive strategies. This strategy not just exercises your brain, but teaches you how to manage massive information into one simple and short summary. By doing this, it can also be an effective to be creative, be detailed in order of items, major factors, or series of events. In language learning, if you can summarize or paraphrase, it shows that you understand and analyze sentences that you have read. Next is the memorization and imagery to develop cognitive strategies. Children are attracted to what they see rather than what they actually hear. They learn fast when they have visuals that can satisfy their imagination. In language learning, memorization and especially imagery is an effective way in learning because it helps us to easily remember things that we have wrote, saw, or heard. And lastly is the reflection. Reflection means that the students or children or adult will jot down what they have learned. How well do you understand, remember, analyze the text you have learned? This shows overview of how much you adopt and understand knowledge in language learning.
Okay, so transfer and interference. These two terms are somewhat related to each other, but they are the complete opposite. Okay, because transfer is the positive one and interference is the negative one. Okay, so according to Brown, 1980, positive transfer happens when the prior knowledge benefits the learning task, that is, when a previous item is correctly utilized in the present subject matter. Okay, so transfer is a general term that describes the carryover of previous performance or knowledge to subsequent learning. Okay, so transfer is you can use or the learner can use his educational background or background knowledge or past learnings in this second on the current learning matter. Okay, so as an example here, an Indonesian student is learning English as her second language. Okay, so he said, I would like to order some waters please, but it should be I would like to order some water please. Okay, so we can see here that there are only minimal or even just one correction that needs to be corrected. Okay, so it is positive because maybe the learner have already learned about these words. The word would like to order some waters please, and maybe their current learning matter is how to order water. Okay, so we can see here that she was able to use the words that she have already learned in the current subject matter. Okay, so another example is they studied English lesson yesterday. They studied English lesson yesterday. Okay, so we can see here that maybe she had already learned, no, the word study, the word English, the lesson, and same with the first example. There are only minimal um, corrections, and she was able to use her background knowledge in the current learning. Okay, so the second one is the interference, or otherwise known also as the negative transfer. Okay, so it is negative because the user here or the learner cannot use her background knowledge or her past learnings in the current subject matter, but the uh, background knowledge of the learner hinders him to learn a new lesson. Okay, for example, here, excuse me, I want to go back. Okay, so it should be, excuse me, I want to wash my hand. Okay, so we can see here that maybe she have already learned the words excuse me, I want to go back, and she is struggling to intake or learn the new words want to wash my hand. Okay, so we can see here that it is negative because her background knowledge or her past lessons are not being utilized by him, and it hinders him or her to learn a new lesson. Okay, so another example is thank you, same, but it should be thank you, and your response should be you're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Good day everyone. I'm the one who discuss about the generalization and simplification. Generalization across settings refers to the learner demonstrating the skill in an untrained setting. For example, if the learner was taught to engage in time management when at home and now also able to engage in time management at school. So let's go to simplification. Move toward a learner-centered environment in which more work is done by students as teachers circulate, monitor, and interact with learners. The learner also use a reduced system is due either to cognitive limitations or the use of various learning and communication strategies.
Communication strategies. Verbal communication can be broken down into the two categories of written and oral communication. Written strategies consist of avenues such as email, text, and chat. Examples that fall into the oral category are phone calls, video chats, and face-to-face conversation. When we can't reach the people we want to communicate, we do email, text, and chat. to convey our message with them. And for the oral communication from the word oral, we use our mouth to communicate with them. Nonverbal communication. Strategies consist of mostly visual cues, such as body language, facial expressions, physical distance between communicators, or the tone of your voice. Nonverbal communication. We convey our emotion, expression, and message through body language, gestures, gaze, spatial, and through the tone of our voice. Like when we want to say hi, hello, we wave our hands to convey it. And if we are angry, we distance ourselves. Visual communication can be seen through signs, web pages, and illustrations. These strategies are used in the workplace to draw attention and provide documentation. Human resources is required to post certain visuals throughout the workplace to comply with safety laws. Visual communication can be seen in our everyday life, especially nowadays. We're in pandemic. We see a lot of signs like safety protocol, alcohol, wear face mask. We see those signs in school, office, barangay hall, and in other remote places. These visual communications wants us to follow these regulations for us to be safe. That's all for my part in our reporting. Thank you, ma'am.
So, we are already on the last segment of our report in cognitive variations in language learning. Now, we have also to know its implication in language learning and teaching as well. It is stated here that studies have shown that learning another language can enhance knowledge of English structure and vocabulary as well as help students score significantly higher in math and language arts. This means that language learning is already been a part of every learner's development and adheres to general principles of human learning and intelligence, wherein both the teachers and the learners have their own strategies in handling the situation, especially in their role in the evaluation of comprehension and production in second language learning. In terms of learning language, variations across learners depends on the cognitive style and learning strategies in attempting to encompass more possibilities either in math or in language arts. But the most important thing here is that we must also consider that personality will always affect both the quantity and quality of second language learning. So, from this concept of cognitive variations in language learning, we learn that when it comes to learning the language or learning another language, the learners or students have the potential to become better language learners if and only if they are aware in the different types of learning strategies and style. While on the other hand, teachers must also know that their students and what strategies their students are already using. So, from all the information above, it has been shown that learning another language has a big impact to the students' vocabulary, comprehension, and the successful production of second language learning in all aspects of the learning and teaching methods or style. That's all, and thank you for listening.